Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Smite Pro League. Gandhi joined by DM. We saw Dignitas actually come out on top because of the ruling.
Right.
In our previous matchup, they now find themselves at 4-4, but right now it is the bottom. Taking on the bottom to really try to get a little bit of momentum here. We have Thurst taking on Fat Chunks Assemble. A lot of storylines here. DM, what would you say is the most noteworthy storyline going into this matchup, though?
Honestly, I think maybe not even the matchup, just the most noteworthy storyline is Wolfie. I mean, this guy has been on top. This guy has been on bottom. This guy has been not relevant. He has been everywhere in between. And right now, him and the rest of Thirst, who have just previously lost Nanton in favor now of Osmos, are kind of maybe not fighting for their entire league lives, but are definitely doing their best right here to maybe gain a little bit of momentum. The loser of this game is really going to feel the hurt. The winner has a chance to maybe start working their way back up towards your Dignitases and your Cognitives. But, yeah, we're going to try to get into it in just a second.
Yep.
Ban phases already coming out. Athena very early getting taken out, as well as Mercury, Loki, and Nemesis.
Nemesis being banned. Do you think that's basically a big sign that they want Zhang Kuei?
It's possible. Yet, Circuit is available, and it looks like locked in. Zhang Kuei with Nemesis off the board, I mean, is super, super strong. I mean, that's a solo lane that you could dream about. And it's really surprising to see Fat Chunks not automatically go for it. At this point, it's really going to come down to... Well, I mean, they have the option right here. There's a lot on the table considering some maybe unorthodox bans. Geb's still available and surprisingly has not been picked up, especially... There he is.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you at home who don't know, Geb's passive makes it so he doesn't take 100% extra damage from crits. He only takes 25.
Excuse me.
But Circuit relies heavily on crit damage. I mean,
yeah.
That's what Deathbane does. But Janice picked up here as well as Rama. A lot of damage on the table from Thirst and lacking entirely in defense. They're going to need someone to kind of clean that up. But with Athena and Geb both off the board, this is dangerous.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Geb pick at all times. Now, and looking at it, you almost have to say Fat Chunks Assemble is going to be the heavy favorite going into this matchup.
Oh, yeah.
So any win right now is going to be big for either of these teams. We've seen what one win can do for a team. Look at Dignitas, who are now 4-4. So going into the matchup here, but we are going to see the Freya picked up here. I really, really like this pick.
You know, this is big because they have sustain from Ra. They have mobility, damage, control, and, of course, some type of maybe faux sustain coming out from the shield, all from Geb. Now, Freya has the ability to bring herself completely out of the fight and just rain hellfire down onto the battlefield.
It's so frustrating when that happens, too, man.
It is. I mean, and right now they don't really have a way to stop that. She gets up into the air. She's not taking any extra dot damage, so they have to burst her down. She buys beads. She's out of the fight. Now,
Chalk getting banned out. Why was that?
I guess they're maybe looking towards Wolfie. It's hard to. I mean, Xing was really the only person really making Chalk work in the SPL, and right there, it's kind of strange to see that go down. Even more strange with how many first bans we saw of Nuwa that she got that far that she was banned out. But we do get a pick of Artemis here with Apollo still on the table. A bit curious.
Yeah, how did Apollo synergizes so much better with Geb? I mean, really just his kid and everything. So Artemis is going to be a little bit precarious, but I still think it's going to be fine.
Well, I mean, she can blow people up. I mean, she was long heralded as the damage dealer. I mean, that burst damage that she gains from the attack speed is huge. But left side, it looks like Guan Yu is going to be the pick, most likely at least for the support. Agni likely to go mid. Janice will be going solo. Option back over to the boys on Fat Chunk with one person remaining, and they're hovering on Osiris. This is likely the solo lane here.
What are you thinking about this?
Against Janice?
You know, I knew there was going to be a little bit of a deviation from what we're used to seeing with these two teams matching up, but
yeah, it looks like
okay.
I just don't understand how Zhang Kuei, after Nemesis got banned, made it all the way through. That's kind of crazy.
That's like the first thing.
And I mean,
that's actually what I hosted this with, I think.
Maybe they were thinking we don't want 4 magical, but we saw this morning what 4 magical can really do.
4 magical is so unique in the fact that you would assume that it wouldn't work, but it somehow does.
Right, because if you build magical protection, then Apollo goes crazy, or your carrier will go crazy, and then they can't dive towers. They can't aggress on you from if you're on a defensive push. In this case, they have gone into Osiris. He does a lot against physical damage, which they do have 3 of, on top of the fact that, of course, he does have a lot of control. Now, looking at the board here, that is Neyruma. That is not Osmos. Neyruma has actually joined up part of what we used to call Eurowizard. He used to team with Jaco Malfoy for Community 3v3 and 2v2 tournaments. A very well-known duo, but they will be separated. Jaco's going to maintain his push into mid. Neyruma is going to be going support, and the old support, Brochacho, will be filling the shoes of Nantan in the Hunter role. That was a lot of switching that I didn't know was happening.
Yeah, that's a lot. That was not what was supposed to be. I was there when they made the graphic this morning, and it was Osmos.
It was Osmos.
I'm pretty sure. But El Brochacho making a switch from support to a hunter, there's a couple of things, right? One, you have to break a lot of your habits of always wanting to initiate.
Right.
And so that's going to be a little bit tough. But the main thing to look at here, if you are a fan of Thurst, is going to be how in the world do they have any kind of chemistry in the duo lane, which is the only lane that you need an abundance of chemistry in?
Well, I mean, I'm going to point out here that Neylma is one of the most, I think, competent support players. I mean, this guy's teamwork potential after all of his 3v3 and 2v2 work, especially in a duo lane, is going to be massive. It also is a fun, interesting little fact here that he is Canadian, which continues our all-Canadian support in North America. Shout out to Jeff Hinla.
Oh, the Canadians. I was able to actually get into the game as well.
Yep, that's always fun.
Yeah.
We should be back into in a few minutes here. Looking at the overall lineups, though, I mean, both teams have a really, really strong lineup depending on who they can pick off. I'm looking a lot at Geb in this situation. If Geb can really get the defense off that you would expect from him, it's going to be hard for a character like Serket to get to the back line. It's going to be hard for Rama to get that control. To that line, we're looking at maybe Janice for some extra burst damage onto the carries and to maybe try to shut this down a little bit. We're going to take a look at the boys on Thurst. Osmos, actually not the guy we're going to be looking at. That is Neyruma today, going to be playing that Guan Yu. Jaco Malfoy going mid with Agni. We're going to see Wolfie 2032. Everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. He's going to be sending himself into the jungle with Serket. Fusion OP playing the Hunter role now on Rama, and El Brochacho as the Guardian. Actually, not the Guardian anymore.
No, he is actually the Hunter.
He's the Hunter. He's the Hunter going Rama.
You know,
Fusion still solo.
He's still the solo.
Very confusing.
This is going to be super, super interesting. But on the other side here, taking a look at Fat Chunks Assemble, who, with all the switch-ups, you got to say is definitely the heavy favorite here. Cyclone Spin is going to be in the solo lane. Hurry Wind in the mid lane. Aurora, the Guardian. Sam Schur, now one of the most unorthodox hunters we have in the SPL.
I would say the most.
Yeah.
The most unorthodox.
And then last but certainly not least, Unique in the jungle.
So those of you who follow me, whether you watch my stream or you maybe see me on YouTube, you know that I am a huge, huge fan of Aurora. This guy is like such an inventor. He is the guy. I remembered it was like maybe a year ago, and I was in a ranked game, and this dude against me plays Fenrir support. I'm like, what is this? Is this guy an idiot? Like, what? He stomped on my face. And ever since then, I'm like, this guy's something special. This guy's going to make himself known, and he definitely has been doing just that.
Well, as we take a look at it here, I really like the fact that we do have the Honest here. So I think this is going to be very, very good.
So right out of the gate here, nothing too unordinary. We're seeing pretty much everything go the way you would expect it. We have our Vam Shrouds, we have our Death's Tolls. It looks like Cyclone Spin has opted into Heavy Hammer, the greatest item to have ever been put into any game ever.
What did you just say?
Heavy Hammer?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to double check that you didn't just betray me right there, because Heavy Hammer is by far the most dominant item right now. In fact, I tried to pitch for it to be the item of the week, which is a YouTube series we have there. And they're like, oh, no, man, we're going to do Sovereignty. I was like, dude, come on.
Ew.
Heavy Hammer.
Dude, Heavy Hammer's so OP.
It's so awesome.
I remember when I first started using it, everyone thought I was a mook. And now everybody's using it, man. This, oh God, I mean, it gives you so much. It's 200 health. It's 18 damage on top of slows to your auto attacks, and that's for 1,100 gold. You still have enough to buy hand. You have enough to buy potions, wards if you want them. I mean, this is really big. So, I mean, early on, you're going to have to be very, very wary of Osiris. Going up in the mid lane, Janus has one escape, and it's going to be hard for him to use that escape in the solo lane.
Yeah, and taking a look at the early game wards here, you can see Fat Chunks getting super aggressive there with their ward coverage all the way down at the blue. We might see a potential steal, but based on where Geb's going, I don't think we're going to see that early invade there, but they are going to have vision at least.
So I've been preaching the Geb OP for a pretty long time now, and I think I
think you do just a lot of preaching.
I do a lot of preaching,
which I like. I learn a lot.
I'm a big preacher, but I think the biggest backup to that I've had so far is the fact that Aurora, a player who barely ever likes to go magical or even orthodox supports, is like, no Geb, oh yeah, pick the Geb, pick Geb.
Yeah.
No Fenrir for me this game. I'll take the giant rock robot guy.
They're like, well, sometimes you have to give credit when credit's due, but taking a look here, Giannis taking some early damage here. That's going to be fusion, as Wolfie is going to be backing him up. And I mean, looking at it, he is going to have a relatively decent hard time here in this lane anyway.
Unique right there, looking for that slow on the pulse. If he got that activation, there could have been a chance for Cyclone Spin to get the slow combo off and get up there fast enough. Fusion might have given up first blood. He was smart enough to walk a little bit backwards and not inside of his creeps, but we do have a rotation. It looks like Freya is waiting for Jaco Malfoy. Agni, not a very easy character to gank, but she will be spotted. She was basically camping on a ward right there. She'll take her minion tax and probably just frolic back off into the jungle.
Yeah, well, she actually crossed over two.
Oh, jeez, there is
two wards there. So,
and there's another.
Yeah, we can really tell that Thurstos is really putting defensive wards here, just assuming, they're like, oh, okay, they know they're going to try to get very early aggressive on us because our team has no synergy right now because we basically just got put together.
I'm actually kind of excited to see the mid-game because, Jaco has been basically just fighting with players that he's just been teaming with recently. To see him team with Neilma, someone he has incredible chemistry with, is going to be something I think everyone at home can learn a lot from. Don't quote me on that just in case it goes south, but hey, just get a little excited.
How is the Agni versus Raw matchup, though, in mid lane?
It goes back and forth depending on how the early game goes. Generally speaking, neither one has a better push than the other. But, 50% win rate right now for Agni at a 2.7 KDA, whereas Ra has a 58% win rate, though Ra also has a solo lane presence. Agni really doesn't have that as much.
That is true. We are going to see, Ra get a little bit more played. And plus with the heal, he gets a little bit more sustain. And there's so many deviations from the builds that you can have from Ra to where he can basically fit almost any role.
I think Ra, more than any other character, has the most builds. It's crazy. You can build him any way. You can rush Warlock Sash.
You can.
And go into kind of a tankier build with things like Breastplate of Valor. You can rush into Rod of Healing and go for extra sustain. Or you can go pure mage and land those snipes from super far and just sear that pain into their body.
Yeah, and Fusion OP forced to retreat all the way back to his base. Meanwhile, taking a look here at the mid lane as we see a little bit of damage. And, this duo lane, not a whole lot of engagements. Does that take you off guard a little bit?
Maybe not. We saw last game that Dare to Care was able to kind of shut down the Geb shield pressure with the shred coming out from Tallow Assault. In this case, it looks like they're using their effects properly. Aurora has played a little bit more campy, allowed his lane to get pushed, but never really losing too much gold. Actually rotates into the mid lane. They might catch something. Oh my God!
Wow.
What just happened?
He just exploded. The fight's still going on here. Serket is going to be able to get away with just a little bit of health. She is thanking her blessings as Wan Yu is going to be able to push up there. Wow! Ra just exploded her.
Hurry Wind out of nowhere with a perfect Searing Pain puts Chunks on the board ASAP, actually increasing their lead up to over almost actually 1,000 gold at this point, as well as 1,700 experience, allowing them a very early amount of pressure. Now this is good for a few reasons. One, it's going to give them maybe less about the gold, but more about the experience, the pressure they need to continue pushing up. And at the 4 minute, as everything starts to coming back in the jungle, you see the speed buff up top. It's going to give them just a little bit better timings. Get these things. Oh,
Oh, look at this.
Whoa, this is
Oh,
trouble.
this is not looking good for Unique here, as there's going to be 3 members on him, and he is just going to get shredded. In comes another member. That's going to be Cyclone Spin. He is going to be kind of walking around here. He does have Raw beside him, which is going to be Hurrywin. Are they going to go for this engagement? The blue buff is going to be there. In comes the damage.
Cyclone Spin actually taking about 50% of his health, losing both buffs on top. Right as I was about to say that was going to be massively in favor in terms of jungle timing for Chunks. It actually winds up that Thurst 3-man invades, wind up almost being a 4-man invade there at the end, taking both buffs from the right side, answering the kill back and gaining 400 gold in the process.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is kind of one of the earlier pains here, but, you know, El Brochacho left in lane all by himself, nearly getting just picked there by Gab. He was able to get out of there just because, you know, Rama has such a nice kit. He has so much mobility that he's able to avoid all of those. But, you know, I think when you have a brand new lane, you almost want your support to babysit a little more, right?
Well, usually at the 4-minute, we're going to see the support start roaming a little bit more.
Okay.
And if you're going to leave a hunter alone, I mean, it would be Apollo.
Yeah.
Not Rama.
It's true. It's true. I mean, he does have a decent...
Oh, he has an amazing...
He has a lot. I think Rama is like the definition of balance, though.
You know, I actually said that not too long ago to the guy that created him.
I might or might not have heard that.
He's a perfect focal point. You don't say to yourself, we should ban him every time, but it's never off the table, and you don't ever want to, like, discount picking him first. I mean, he has a cripple, he has a slow, he gains attack speed, he has an ult that brings him out of the fight, allowing him to rain damage down from a safe regard. I mean, it puts him in a great spot, and he's just a great focal point of balance for the game.
Yep. And taking a look, I mean, Fusion having a very difficult time here in the solo lane. He is just really getting bullied. He's really trying to push up as much as he can, but Cyclone just has such a better lane presence. Now, granted, it doesn't really tell it in the charts, but I mean...
4v3.
Oh, God.
4v3. This is trouble. Wolfie getting pretty far. That they're all aiming at Aurora. A lot of damage coming through on both sides as we see a huge hit coming out from Hurwin. Neyrama's low. Wolfie's low. Aurora super low as well, but finds himself back into the fight. So far, a 1-for-1 as Aurora and Neyrama both go down. Now turning their sights to Brochacho, who is in a terrible position. Gold Fury might be in some trouble here. A little bit of damage coming from Fusion OP, but not nearly enough to deter.
Yeah, and Fusion is going to kind of linger around there. In comes the snipe doing damage. In comes the fight. They were able to secure the Gold Fury, though. Will this turn into any kills, as we are going to see Wolfie kind of get away there?
Trouble. Fusion in a lot of trouble. Actually winds up giving it up, or Samshrew finds that kill for free. 2 extra kills right there for the boys on Chunk plus the Gold Fury.
Whew. That's a big momentum shift as well. Plus, now they're able to go back, get up in just a little bit of the items, and now this is looking very, very good.
I think the big issue there was, once again, people are trying to kill Geb.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well... how does that work, right? Because are you like, you know, he's going to get up in your face, and can you really tell your hunter to not do any damage in that scenario?
I mean, maybe jump past them, disengage. They spent so much of their resources on Geb that when they finally put themselves in a position to get a kill, there's going to be such a big issue, as we saw Hurwind coming through, huge searing pain, hitting 2 people, and doing enough damage to not only deter Thirst, but waste enough of their time to ensure that they couldn't even back off in the way that they wanted to. Now, while Jaco found a very, very good follow-up, Neyrama just didn't have the tankiness at that point to put himself into the front line against a character who takes significantly less damage.
Now, I have a question for you here.
Okay.
And it's going to be a little bit ways in the back. Now, with Wanyu's clearing ability, what did you expect the jungle to kind of favor more on the Rama and 1Q lane, just because of the lane push? Assuming that the enemy team pushes up just a little bit, that should be gank potential, correct?
To the same point, though, they can't really spend a lot of their resources trying to gank Artemis. I mean, who's able to run out. I mean, she has movement speed, she has CC immunity, and Rama can't really stop either of that. He can do some decent damage, but trying to shut down an Artemis, as we see Fusion shut down Cyclone Spin, it's not super easy, and if they waste a lot of resources, leaving Artemis to her devices is going to be rough. But again, we see the boys on Thirst steal away that buff on respawn, and Cyclone Spin's going to pay for it this time.
And they're able to disengage. They wanted no piece of the fight. They're just said, okay, you know what, we're just going to grab this, kind of steal your blue buff as well, probably rotate into the solo lane, put a little bit of pressure here, but it looks like Cirquette is going to kind of sit back here. That's going to be Wolfie. Wolfie is going to spot one, doing a little bit of damage. Geb's coming around, though, and there's not going to be anything from this, but still good job.
Smart disengage and a huge smack to Unique there, taking a lot from the unstable vortex. He's going to probably be forced back to the base. Farming anymore at this point is going to be a detriment, considering there is nothing on this side of the map that he could even want. But he'll move forward, maybe not get too greedy, considering they do have vision of all 5 right now. Nothing to really threaten him with. But right now it looks like Wolfie is trying to set up a gank. He's going to get spotted in the jungle there. He moved a little bit too close to that creep.
That's unfortunate. That's almost guaranteed to kill, especially when you have Fusion, just doing so much damage here. And as
the follow-up potential is massive.
Right?
I mean, Portal into the Cobra's Kiss guarantees the banish into the taunt. And looking at Osiris right now, he does have beats 1. Even if they don't get the kill, forcing a 3-minute active timer is going to be huge for rotations in the next couple minutes.
It's so funny how those little things really add up in the difference, especially now since these mid-harpies are getting ready to come up. You get, that activation down. You have a very good chance of taking it.
Yeah, I mean, you could force him to rotate, and Janus, who rotates so quickly, actually might want to get over there. Unique taking a lot of damage, jumps up into the air, not going to get too much. Wolfie, though, not in a great spot, is going to be forced to use his Deathbane to jump away. Fusion has his rotate come over, as we see through space and time, going to be used. Beam not going to do much there, as the mid camps do go down in favor of the boys on Thirst, but right side went directly just to Thanatos, so a free 90 goal for him. Either way, not too much gained in either direction.
Yeah, that's big, and he's going to be able to switch over here, get this experience here from the solo lane, and looking at it, I mean, Thirst, they're hanging in there, but it's really been dominated by Chunks.
For the most part, I mean, but I'm looking at the golden experience. A lot of that has to do with the Gold Fury, and really that Gold Fury could have been anyone's. I feel like that was much less about skill and more about who timed it, by accident just a little bit better. And, unfortunately for the boys on Thirst, that did go to Chunks. They're also a kill up, but with the amount of gold they have, they should be a little bit farther ahead, considering they're not only a kill up, but they did have first blood.
And we are going to start to see a little bit of grouping here in the mid. Rama is going to head back to the house, grab some stuff here. Uh-oh, they walked over the ward there.
Once again, yeah. And not to mention the Gold Fury's about to spawn, and Brochacho just went back. But there's not really a grouping here from Chunks, at least not as strong as one as you would think. But we do have a Sentry Ward dropped here from the boys on Thirst.
And that's going to be big. I mean, they will be able to clear up that ward, especially here with this new patch. And Agni's still doing a great job in the mid. That's going to be Jaco. And they have the presence, but it's like they're trying to just wait for a mistake, which isn't a bad idea to do here in the early, but I also feel sometimes in the early, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can kind of take these risks.
Right, I mean, and really they should be doing that, considering in the late game, Geb is going to be almost uncontrollable, whereas Guan Yu won't be super tanky, maybe not to the same point. Really, we should see more risk-taking coming out from Thirst. Chunk should be looking more for counter-initiates, which I think maybe Thirst recognizes the counter-initiate potential with things like Cataclysm and things like, Boar. They have to be maybe a little bit more careful, but I would expect more gank opportunities. They have such great mobility on this team, especially with Serket, and they're just not abusing it.
Yeah, and dude, looking at the map, it's wild how many wards are down in this game as compared to last game. And when you think of it, I mean, Chunks does have a Sentry Ward down, so does Thirst. But, I mean, the vision's insane for Thirst. They have everything painted for them. There's going to be no surprise here, as Samshrew is going to be able to take out El Brochacho.
And that was a 1v1. Level 14, Samshrew now has an opportunity to do some serious damage to this Gold Fury, but there is going to be a rotation. Guan Yu by himself, Neyrima maybe looking for an opportunity to steal, but this might be too little too late. It's going to go down way too quickly through space and time, not going to do enough, and Cavalry Charge actually going to be wasted as well, so 2 ultimates used with very little result, giving up another Gold Fury.
Actually, no result out of it.
Yeah, none
I mean,
whatsoever.
they did no damage. They are not going to be able to get this lane, and they actually have to be careful because there's going to be Geb coming in from the side. If he wants, in comes the Blink. Here's the Cataclysm, and that's going to start this team fight.
That started. It looked like it was going to end that team fight. 2 are already dead. Fusion forced to rotate out. His ultimate's already down. We're going to see Wolfie rotate back in, but Aurora covering the option. Mid camps are up. Right one already goes to Cyclone Spin. More pressure coming onto the tier 1 as Aurora rotates to the left side to get the other one. That's a massive win for the boys on Chunks.
Yeah, and Cyclone Spin swings over there. He's going to push this up, actually steal a buff as well, as now Geb is going to be rewarded here with these mid-harpies. This is just going to keep extending their lead. Thirst really needs to come up with an answer. What do you think they need to do differently?
Oh, he's pushing for it. Doesn't quite get the damage. Healing reduction coming out, but Cyclone Spin doesn't quite need it. Uses Lord of the Afterlife, his ultimate, to jump away from that fight, wasting out the Circuit ultimate as well. So that's actually not a bad win for him over on the Chunk side now. Let's talk a little bit about the junglers here, because, you know, we looked at Wolfie right there. He's trying to make these plays happen, whereas Unique has made these plays happen in 3-1-3. Overall, 17% win-loss ratio for Wolfie, only 20% for Unique. The goal per minute pretty even. Looks like only 11 apart in favor of Wolfie, though KDA massively in favor of Unique, an entire point ahead.
Yeah, and it's really tough when you look at these the matchups here. As Fusion does so much damage, Unique makes him pay. But, you know, it's really tough when you look at it just because, you know, they're both 1 and 5. So
right.
These stats, like, you know, obviously everyone loves their stats, but is it really a good comparison?
It's hard. I mean, well, right there, I mean, showing maybe the KDA difference as Unique finds himself another kill. He's 4-1-3 right now. Across the way, Wolfie, who had first pick of jungle, he first picked Cirquet, is 1-0-2. So still, only person on his team who hasn't died. Has a kill in the pocket as well, doing a pretty good job. But technically, still falling a little bit behind. He's about 800 gold deep.
And Jacob Malfoy almost getting caught there is going to be able to just dash right through that. He's got 3 members of Chunks just staring him down the face. He has no help. He does have to be careful here at this tower as this tier 1 should be able to go down there. He is going to have very, very good wave clear potential.
Oh, I'm surprised they didn't go a little bit deeper. Once that stun missed, I kind of have expected Unique to move forward. But Ultimate lists Valkyrie's discretion not quite on the table there. It looks like he's going to take the opportunity to play a little bit more defensively, albeit a bit uncharacteristic for the player. He'll head back, spend some more damage, and we do have Demonic Grip online.
And what do you think about this Hunter matchup? I mean, Brochacho really switching over there. He's doing a pretty good job. I mean, he's down like 600 gold-ish here to Samshrew, but, you know, going from Guardian to Hunter is such a drastic change.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I mean, I play support as one of my main roles, and you put me in Hunter, I guarantee we lose.
Oh, God.
But I'm looking at Samshrew's build here, actually, and he has picked up the Oboe, 40% attack speed, plus the attack speed he's going to get from Vengeful Assault is kind of getting very close to cap at this point. With level scaling, it's going to limit his build. I expect a lot of crit damage and a lot of crit chance coming out over the next couple items.
Did you really already abbreviate?
It's the Oboe. Come on. Come on.
You kids,
like the, you know, like the instrument.
Oh, I get it. I understand. It's
fun.
It caught me off guard. I was like, did he really? And then I looked at it. I was like, oh, how dare you?
I didn't even get to play the PTS. People had this before I was even sitting down at the computer.
I mean, the one thing.
Do you see this? By the way, again, they go for the speed buff. They didn't get it that time. But again, on respawn, they went for it this time.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, no. You know, what are we saying? Like, he's going to catch Cirquet.
Yeah, no. Cirquet's going to dash out of there. But also, on top of that, I mean, I was just getting ready to say, Chunks is dominating the Harpy game.
Oh, completely. 5,000 gold ahead. That's 2 Gold Furies and no... Geb. Oh, Geb.
Yeah, Geb is going to make his presence known. They are going to chase down the Wan Yu there. So much damage. Samshrew getting a kill. In comes Freya. She's going to get one. That's going to be Unique. This should result in a tower as well, but it looks like they're not done yet.
They don't need to be. I mean, they have the sustain, they have the push, and they have now the creep wave, which of course increases the damage done to towers just by them being inside that radius. They're going to move forward. Jaco and Wolfie going to try to do something to hold this off. Expect bombs, but I don't know what Wolfie can do without absolutely getting blown up. And all the while, Samshrew in the left lane ready to burn down that tier 1.
Yep, Cirquet's going to get caught out there. She's going to jump all the way around. They do have to be careful. They have to stay alive because they know if one more goes down, this is going to be a fire giant here for Chunks.
1,500 gold, plus 500 from the tier 1, plus 500 coming from the tier 1 on the left side. This is giving them such insane pressure, and now they're taking away the jungle. The red buff gets stolen away once again. Chunks, 8 kills ahead, 8,700 gold, 12,000 experience.
Yep, so now...
And they're not done.
Yeah, they're still going to keep this pressure on here. We are going to see a stun get connected there, but it's not going to prevent this tower from being taken as the minions will clean it up. And now here comes the rotation for the Gold Fury. Chunks looking extremely fundamentally sound right now.
Yeah, that was a perfect rotation. And look at the front line here. I mean, Cyclone Spin by himself holding off 2 people. No problem, barely even losing health. Jaco going to miss his stun there, not do too much damage. Hurwin with a huge ult once again is going to help his team pick that up. And El Brochacho on his final hit looking for something. Geb's shield activated onto Cyclone Spin. Lord of the Afterlife is going to miss, but he's still going to get caught. Wolfie, Jaco, Fusion all in the back now trying to find a kill onto Cyclone. They're going to get it with a great shotgun to the face, but still, Gold Fury, an extra kill 4 towers. Jeez, that was a good 2
That
hits.
was one of the most amazing pushes we've seen, and as you can take a look, they are still getting all the jungle. They're going to grab this blue buff as well. Meanwhile, you just see Jonas over here, Fusion OP's just kind of like, well, guys, I'm going to...
I think he's checking the Fire Giant.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only way they're going to get back into this is if they go for this Fire Giant, and maybe Aurora realizes this, and he starts to rotate over, but there's no pressure coming out from the guys on Thurst. Again, 9 kills behind, now 11,000 gold. Wasn't that just 8,000?
Yeah, it was just 8,000.
Let's take a look at the charts here. 11,000 gold deep, 14,000 experience. Look at that that staircase they've made. Just straight down, straight down, straight down, and it looks like it's going to continue in that pattern until Thurst either surrenders, loses their Titan, or finds a maybe lucky attempt at a team fight, because right now they're just not looking cohesive.
I think there's too much pride. Like, if I was in the SPL, I don't think I would ever GG.
Really?
I think I would drag it out.
Your inner Idra just doesn't exist?
No. The inner Idra does not exist. Like, I'm that guy who's like, everyone throws up the surrender vote, and I'm like, no, it's 40-6. It's not happening.
Oh, I'm F6 at 10.
Oh, you're F6 at 10?
I'm F6 at 10.
You're definitely that guy.
I'm
You
out.
love raging. You're like, oh, man, this is not going according to plan. This guy's trash.
See, I'm a PvE guy. If we don't do well in the first phase, I don't want to try phase 2.
Really?
No, not really.
That's good for you. Way to quit at halftime. Well, it looks like we are going to see a little bit of dancing here at the Fire Giant. Cyclone Spin going to poke at Jaco just a little bit here. We should see some grouping, but El Brochacho all the way in the bottom lane. I mean, really, if Chunks wanted to be aggressive, they could push for it, but obviously we're not going to see that as Artemis is going to be go ahead and rotating over. I think that was really just a push to kind of throw down wards, right?
I would say so. I think, though, one of the biggest issues in competitive Smite overall, and I know Pompon out there in production is listening, and he's going to agree, that playing from ahead, a lot of teams don't do very well. They don't aggress where they should. They get a little bit too defensive. Like right now, they should be baiting the Fire Giant. Like, why not force everyone on the enemy team onto one side of the map and go for the team fight? You have at least 2,000 gold per person ahead of the enemy team. Why not pressure that lead?
I guess the flip side would be, and obviously you're taking the complete different stances,
Sure.
that, you know, if we do this and we die, we're letting the team get back into the game. But
Sure.
Is that gold going to put them back into the game? I guess is the question you have to ask yourself.
I think my major issue here is that Neyrama's level 12 with 1 tank item. What can he really do against Aurora, who has the sovereignty that he has on top of a full Hide of the Urchin already, probably at least somewhat stacked up?
Yep, and it looks like they weren't able to just bait it. It looks like they're going to be able to get this.
This is what I'm
and
talking
they just
about.
shredded through it. Jaco Malfoy is going to be in the back. He's split up from his team. This might be a little bit of an engagement, but with that raw heal there, you really don't want to do it. And El Brochacho caught all out by himself. That is not looking good for him, as in comes a lot of damage here from Thurst.
They're actually not going to force the split here. This is very smart.
Weird.
They're going to use this creep wave. They're going to use the sustain from Ra, the sustain from the Fire Giant. They're going to move down the mid lane and either A, take this tower, or B, force this fight. And it looks like they're going to force it. Wolfie's banished out. He's forced the Deathbane away. He's going to have to jump. Neyrama, great reactionary time right there, using Cavalry Charge to try to stop away the overall CC potential from Cataclysm.
Well, yeah, exactly. They also know that Cataclysm is down, so they're going to be okay. Cyclone's been doing an excellent job just really keeping them all the way at bay. This should be a rotation to take out here this bottom tower, and we might see them go for the buffs, but it should just be a tank here on the tower, get that tier 2, and keep the pressure on them, as El Brochacho is going to be the only one there, and he's like, guys, excuse me.
Yeah.
We're losing our tier 2.
It looks like Wolfie's calling fight under Phoenix. Don't bother with the tier 2. They're already super far ahead. The 1,500 gold's not going to hurt us too much.
It's true.
We'll lose a little bit more pressure in the lane, but we'll be able to at least somewhat maintain our Phoenix. But this is what I'm talking about the sustain. I mean, they have the raw heal. They have Freya being able to jump out of the fight. They have Cyclone Spin, super tanky at this point, and they still have Geb on the back of that. Now, with Gold Fury about to respawn and nobody even close to insight here on the boys on Thirst, another 1,500 gold. This is going to be 16-6 ahead.
And the thing that's even scarier is, Juan, you finally hitting level 13, 24 minutes into the game. It is almost impossible for a support to get back into the game, which is so scary. So what do you even do in that scenario, DM?
Well, I mean, this is one of the reasons we don't see Guan Yu a lot. He doesn't have a great mid game. Once his damage is offline, there's really no getting back into it. If he gets really far ahead, he becomes nigh on unkillable. But in this case, he is a piece of paper that they're looking to tear in half.
Man, and you know, Wolfie, he's 1-0-2, and this is one of the reasons why
he's been 1-0-2 since the last time we talked about that, about 12 minutes
That's
ago.
what I was getting ready to say. That's the one thing I don't like about stats, is that it doesn't necessarily paint the whole picture.
Right.
Obviously, you know, you look at it, you're like, oh, you know, at least I went positive. But at the same time, it's like, did he really do his job? But given the god he is playing with Serket, you're not starting fights. Your job is to kind of come in and clean up, like we see, you know, Lasses do all the time.
To answer your question, I would say no. I don't think the job is being done extraordinarily well here, as he's only 3,500 damage, and again, a lot of that comes down to Geb. He's shielding the right people during fights. Serket does less damage to Geb overall. I mean, oh, there comes Geb again. Nerima able to react, gets a 3-man stun through space and time, actually bringing Unique down super low, and they do find a kill. Wolfie will find his first death as Brochacho goes down as well to a great beam. Nerima slowed in the back line. Lord of the Afterlife chasing through, trying to find a kill here. I don't know if they're going to get it. Nerima does manage to get into the base, but Cyclone actually picks up Fusion and is now fighting.
He's not done yet, bro.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he is not done. The pressure's just going to stay on. They're fighting them here in the fountain. So much damage you are just seeing. And this should be the Titan here, as they actually are going to go ahead and reset. They're just going to group together, going to get some heals up, and now they're going to go for this mid-Phoenix. Keep the pressure on in case anything does go south.
I swear Cyclone was almost just dead. I know for
No, he was that. That was the raw heal.
That was the raw heal. Not to mention the Fire Giant giving him that extra HP 5 as well. Bomb coming out, doing some damage to Samshrew. Not enough. Middle Phoenix goes down. It looks like they're not going to pressure just yet for the Titan, which is definitely my call as well. It's strange they didn't go
that's
for
what
it.
I thought.
Oh, Wolfie again to the back line, uses both of his movement abilities to get out. He's going to have to jump away here. Nerima once again trying to fight from the back line. A lot of damage coming through. That's going to be a guaranteed kill onto Samshrew, but all 3 Phoenixes have fallen victim to the boys on Fat Chunks Assemble.
Yeah, and you know, Cyclone right now is taking on 3 members, and he's still finally just getting to under half health as he's going to be able to retreat out of here. This is going to be very tough. Juan Yu's here. He's got the Jeb shield on him, but now here's Raw just really throwing down another heal. This is not looking good as Cyclone's trying to stay alive, and he's able to. This is amazing here as Fusion is able to get it. Finally, Hurrywind is able to secure a kill. But
Unique's back. Unique's back. There comes the damage. One shot to Wolfie. Going to go down. He's going to try to pressure, but a great banish coming out. But look at the board. That's 2 down. Nerima still super under-leveled. A lot of burning Phoenix minions in every lane, just burning their way down. The Space Invaders have activated. They're going to start popping quarters in arcade machines, trying to keep these guys out of the base. But Aurora with this Fire Giant buff. Actually, that buff's gone.
It is gone, and look at this. They're actually going to rotate out of here. They said, okay, you know what? We have the pressure on. Let's go ahead. We can clear out their jungle, go back, buy, even possibly go for this Fire Giant, which is basically what they're getting ready to do. And they know Thurst cannot contest it. There's no way.
Look at this. Left side, they're not even backing. They're going for the speed buff for Freya. She's going to be zooming around the map. I mean, taking a look at the build here, Fatalis, Witchblade, and Boots giving her movement speed on top of the 20% that she just gained. There will be no catching her.
Yeah, she's going to be a problem. And look at this. She actually kills, you know, that blue buff, just assuming that they won't be there in 30 seconds. Well, that's just like a dagger.
There's no way that they can go into the jungle at this point. They have to worry about these 3 lanes of fire minions. In fact, nobody is trying to defend this Fire Giant attempt, and they have to know they're going for it.
Oh, no. There's no way they don't. I mean, look at the gold difference, man. It is absolutely insane. 18,000 gold difference.
I would rather talk about the experience difference. Everyone on Chunks is 20. Fusion is 20.
Yeah, well, that's normally good when 1 out of 5 is 20. Well, so this should be the final push here.
I have to imagine this. If I was a betting man, Scott, and I am, I would bet.
I'm a gambler as well.
I would bet this is going to be it. Fusion taking way too much damage. Goes right down. Samshrew going to turn around looking for an opportunity as Jaco gets low. Oh, my God. Hurlwind, the God.
Unique able to get a triple kill as well. Brochacho actually getting 1 kill. Here comes the Titan. Brochacho should go down as well by Hurrywind. And now this is going to do it here, as that is going to be the win for Chunks. GG.
this is going to be all she wrote. Thurst is going to feel that loss. Granted, they did go in with a semi-new roster. They did lose Nantan recently, replaced with a new support in Neil Ma, but it just didn't work out. 8-22, pretty deep behind as well. 20,000 gold at the 28-minute mark, and we saw 2,600 damage come out right there from Nirima. Only 8K coming out from Rama, whereas every single person... Oh, dude, I think Geb actually out-damaged Rama. And,
really?
And Surcat.
Did he really?
Wow. I mean, this is the power of Geb.
You know, I want to talk on Thurst, right? And, you know, obviously, Wan Yu severely underleveled throughout that entire game.
Still
right?
only 15.
He only got 15 because of that final push when no one was around him fighting off everything. So he was really a level 14. Obro Chacho left alone in that lane for so long, there was never any kind of a push. And with the Wan Yu, basically what you were saying, you know, you have so much wave clear, you would expect him to actually stay in lane a little more. I think the roam is kind of what came back to haunt him a little bit.
You know, we talked about Aurora so much that game. That Geb play was amazing. We yelled out Hurlin's names off the snipe. Instead of that, let's take a look at the replay here as we check in with my man, Unique.
Unique at the end of this game was just a savage.
Absolutely. Oh, that's your word, right?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that fun? Threw it in there. Let's follow along here as you see him really go for this just overall burst damage. He's going to run in here. He gets slowed. He gets stunned. He's in some trouble here. And then out of nowhere, bang. Good
Death from above.
Exactly. Just a triple kill. And it didn't even look like he had to do much to get it.
Here as that was our mics cutting in and out. I think I stepped on the cord because I'm fat. Anyways, moving forward, you know, Unique at the end. That's exactly what you're. I mean, that's Freya. That's it. That's Freya. We said how many times I think did you say it? Like, oh, she's gonna jump out of the team fight and she's gonna throw a lot of damage down
after absorbing so much. And you know, she got the Geb shield. She used her Aegis and then put herself out of the fight. Rain the Hellfire down to the platforms, and that was all she wrote for the guys on Thurst.
Yep, well, that's actually going to be really, really big here for Chunks. If you are a fan of Thurst, don't feel bad because there is the off week. They have time to kind of gel to their team. But for us, that's going to do it here at the hi-rez studios for DM and myself. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned as we have more Smite action coming up.